Al with Green Mountain Bushcraft here, and today we're going to go over step by step how you gather materials, where you can find the materials, and how to start a fire in a wet environment. Right now we're in Vermont in the winter. Alright, so the first thing we found here was a water source. So we can follow this stream, and eventually you'll come up to a wider marshy area where you find cattails, which are everywhere. They're edible in all seasons, and you can use these little things here. You can use them for bedding. You can use them. You can make rope out of them. You can eat the pith and the roots, the white part of the root, and the head here. You can actually use the pollen to make flour as well, but the head here is what we need. And inside, all the white in there is very, very flammable, and we're going to use that as part of our tinder bundle. Now, as you can see out here, a lot of this stuff is very moist from melting snow, but there are lumps here on the ground. You can find these anywhere, just from dead plants, and if you can find one that's above the water line, there's a lot of very, very good tinder right here. And you can test if it's dry. What I usually do is I put it up to my lips, and if I can feel moisture, it's not good. These flower heads here are very good tinder. They're dry, there's a lot of airspace in there with the flowering heads, and they'll make a great fire starter. Alright, lucky for me, I found a really big pile right here that's above the water line. And within it, there's a lot of really good grass here. I did the lip test, and it's very, very dry. And the one thing I love about this forest is take one step into the woods and you can't not look at a birch tree. They are absolutely everywhere, making them my favorite type of tinder to use in a fire. Now, the reason I love birch trees so much is that here on this yellow birch that we see, the bark just flakes off. It's like ready-made fire. And the thing that's so great about this bark is it's filled with oils, and so it will burn for a reasonably long time, and it burns nice and easy and hot. So here we have a spruce tree, and one of the branches has broken off, maybe from another falling tree on top of it, maybe just from weight from snow or something. And the dead spruce branches, like this right here, make great first pieces of wood to put on your fire. And the reason so we're going to continue to focus on slightly bigger and bigger branches as we collect for our fire. And as you collect, you don't do this in any specific order, you pick it up as you see it. But for educational purposes, I'm going from biggest or smallest to biggest. And now what we have here is a nice looking branch on the ground, but you don't want to use that because it's on the ground. It's probably very wet, and being up to the next to the cold, wet ground, it's not going to be great. But what we have here is a nice tree with a few dead branches underneath, and these are all suspended off the ground, so they'll for the most part be dry, especially because they're still connected to the tree, so you know that they're not going to be rotten or punky in any way. So we can grab things this small, or we can go more towards the trunk of this tree and grab things this size. And a tree like this is a great source to have when you're looking for fire. Alright guys, so we've made our way back to our camp here, just by walking through the woods. And I brought with me all the supplies that we gathered today. I've got tinder in this haversack here, and we've got some wood down here, some smaller stuff. We've got the evergreen branches right over there, and we got our big log that we're here to process. What we do now is we can just step on this piece, and smaller pieces will break off. It's like this. We got a little piece, and We're going to take this and we're going to chop it down the middle. And the one thing I love about this tomahawk is, here, I'll show you this now. So you can take this piece off here, you can throw the handle somewhere else, and you can use this as a splitting maul. And go in right here on this side. And I'll take another stick and baton it. Now I'm not using this quite as a splitting maul would be used, but it's still a good use for this tomahawk, and it's good to know how to do. Just like this, we're going to put our splitting maul on top and just hit it. That's all you got to do, guys. And as you can see, this log is splitting pretty well. You just keep it straight. You definitely got to make sure you keep it straight, or else it's just going to fall through the piece of wood. There you go. Smaller piece right there. Okay guys, so I would normally make my fire inside my shelter, but for demonstration purposes I want to make it on the wet ground. There's actually some snow here, so you know it's pretty wet. And what I've done is I've taken our processed logs and put down a base of those to protect our fire from the wet ground. We got a little bit of breeze coming through it. And now, this is our finished tinder bundle bird's nest. And basically what I did is I took all the stuff that was in my haversack that we collected before, and I processed the grasses and the flower heads on the bottom, and then I really rubbed those together and exposed all the fibers and made sure there was a lot of surface area there, and got it really nice and dry and fluffy. And then in the middle we have the birch bark, and on the outside we have our cattail fluff. And that came right out of the cattail head. You break it open and it gets everywhere. I've got tons of it here. So we're going to take this, and with flint and steel, we are going to light the cattail and get some fire. Get nice and deep into the cattail and pull back with your Firesteel, not forward with your striker. Because if you pull forward, you're going to get it everywhere, and it's just not going to be good. Now our fire. The next thing we want to do is put sticks on top of that. Make sure it has a lot of fuel. We can take our evergreen branches and just lay those on top. Just like that. So. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two big logs, put those on the sides of it just to kind of contain it. We're just going to let this burn a bit more. We build up our fire. Alright guys, so we've gone from absolute zero to a nice going fire in not too long. I just wanted to conclude this video by saying, I know a lot of you already know this, but don't use dead leaves on your fire. They smolder, they don't catch on fire very well. It's just not a good idea. Stay away from dead leaves, even though they may look enticing. They're already on the ground, so they're already pretty wet. And there are just numerous things. I could go on for hours about why you shouldn't use dead leaves on your fire. And there's a link in the description on where to buy all the things I use in this video. I've got some reviews coming out, but for now, just take my word, I recommend everything I use in this video. I wouldn't use anything I don't recommend. Alright, so that's your how-to on making a fire from start to finish. I'm Al from Green Mountain Bushcraft, signing out.